Now, this was a figure that I actually wanted to do a video on quite a while ago, but I didn't because of the strike and everything that was going on. As far as I know, the strike and stuck work stuff has been addressed. So I think this is okay to do a video on now. I mean, it was okay to do it before, but I was trying to, solidarity and all that. So my apologies if I'm mistaken. I thought I saw that was, that this was no longer considered stuck work. I could be wrong. I tried looking it up, and all I was finding was, why was Rise of the Beast bad? So, yeah. But anyway, here we are. We're looking at the mainline release of Rise of the Beasts Optimus Prime, the one that was really frustratingly difficult to find, just like AirRaiser, because distribution on this whole thing has been just an absolute mess. But I will say, this is a very cool figure. I know that there are there are things that the the Buzzworthy, for whatever reason, Studio Series Rise of the Beast Prime that they did, does a lot of things differently and in some cases better. But in my opinion, based on what I've seen of that versus this, I honestly think I prefer this one. Granted, I don't have that other one, but this one, it's very compact. It is on the smaller side. We'll get to that, but it's very compact. It's very kind of simple, but really clever in the way that a lot of it works. It's a really neat transformation, and yeah, I just like this a lot. So let's just get right to it. And yeah, it's Optimus Prime. It's an Optimus Prime-ish truck. He's got the Optimus Prime details, the red cap, in this case, gray bits, the grille, the headlights, the truck windows and eyebrows, the stripe along the side, which is only back here, but I think that's okay. Fuel canisters, the legs becoming the back, but they actually do a lot with this stuff that does make it work better compared to a lot of other primes, in my opinion. And yeah, I don't know, it looks good. Could absolutely do with more paint. I've actually been eyeballing the repro label set for this guy, but what's here is nice. I think it's separated enough. I just think it would look even better if it had more paint. And as you can also see, the gun is stored on the back here. It's just pegs into the trailer hitch. There's a trailer hitch, and the peg goes in there, but then the little magazine kind of nestles into this little notch here. So when that goes in there, it keeps it from wiggling around. So that's cool. And I feel like this doesn't hide the gun, but it integrates it better than other Optimus Prime figures. It's not just, you can set it up like this and have it pointed out the back, but I definitely think it works better that way. But yeah, and here's his gun, and it is rather tiny, but we'll be taking a look at that more later. And I don't really know what else to say about this truck. It rolls really well. It could use a little bit more paint, as I said, but the detailing is nice. There's a lot of really nice molding in it all over the place. I really like that the feet actually hide a little bit better. You can still clearly see feet, but I feel like these hide better than older, previous Optimus Prime figures. And you got taillights, which aren't painted, but they're there. You can also see robot mode fists just hanging out in the back there, along with the, well, you can't actually see the head, so there is that. But yeah, it's a pretty cool little compact, boxy truck trailer, and I like it. I like that they, what they did with this design too, how they took the front section and just kind of made it a little bit meaner looking. I don't know. It's a cool little figure. And as I said, it's definitely smaller than a lot of people liked. And I can understand that. But I kind of feel like the figure itself is cool enough that the size isn't really that big of a problem. But as you can see, this guy, who I believe is being marketed as a Voyager, is only slightly bigger than a typical deluxe. So yeah, he's a little. But again, I don't think that's not something that really bothers me, because I think the figure just is worth it, even if it's a little bit on the smaller side. But anyway, to finish up this comparison ordeal, here he is with the duck tank. As always, before we get to the transformation, just want to remind everyone, or let everyone know in case this is the first video that you're watching, that if you like this video or any of the other videos that I've done on the channel and you want to support me financially, I do have Patreon. There's a link down in the description. There will be one at the end of the video as well. And that just takes you to the Patreon page. I've got a single tier. It's a $1 a month, and that $1 a month gets you early access to new videos and access to the extremely rare, but I do make them occasional Patreon exclusive video. So if you want to do that, you can do that. Otherwise, if you want to support the channel in non-monetary ways, you could always do the typical YouTube stuff of like, comment, share, subscribe, and that kind of thing. Now, to transform Optimus Prime here, let's just raise this up a bit and zoom out. Okay, so first thing, going to unplug the little trailer hitch thing here. That just pops out. Whoa, there we go. So you pop that out, and it actually, that tabs in there. So pop that out and fold that back. You don't really have to do that first, but I like to do it first because I always forget to do it otherwise. Now, I'm going to take these front wheels, and they are tabbed in right there. So you want to untab the front wheels, and with those untabbed, you can swing this back, and there you can see the little slots where those peg into. So swing this around and up, and it will go up like that, and then fold the wheels in like that, and now the truck has this weird little pig nose. But yeah, you fold those up. Now, there are little pegs right down in here that are pegged into what will become the robot mode thighs. Actually, before we unpeg that, take the gas cans, fold them in, and they'll peg in right in there. Okay, now with that done, and unpeg the thighs from here. There you can see there are the little tabs and the spots where they peg into. So unpeg that, swing this down, and this will peg together there. Now we're going to split the legs, as you do. And to do the feet, it actually does, I forget which Prime did this before. I think it was like Evasion Mode Prime did something like this, where you pull the foot down, but you also like hinge this section around. It actually rotates. So this entire, like, here's the foot, and it's like bent down more like this for vehicle mode. This entire assembly rotates 180 degrees to change the location of the ankle joint and give you this venting detail on the shin. So you can kind of see, like, now, like, there's the venting detail and the taillights. Now the taillights are pointed up in there and the venting details this way. So it's just I don't know, it's a cool little transformation trick. So rotate that around, and there we've got the legs all done. Actually, there's the lower body all done. Now for the upper body, I'm going to untab these panels here and just fold those back. That will free up the arms. With the arms freed up, we can bring down the arms here at the elbow, and we'll just do this now, fold out the fists. Those out of the way. These shoulder sections, the obvious shoulder sections, will come forward. It's an Optimus Prime. It is an Optimus Prime, but I like that this one, rather than having the forearms like tuck right up into the grill, instead you got the hands that fold back and the arms kind of sit a little bit further back. And I don't know, I think that's cool because it does the classic Optimus Prime thing, but it does it in a different way. And I like when they do things that are a little different. Anyway, and straighten out the arms and rotate biceps. These bits here unpeg from here, and then they swing back And this tab will tab in right back here. And that gives you the freedom to bring the arm out. So actually, we'll just leave it out like that to get it out of the way. But yeah, this unpegs, swings around, and taps back in there. And we'll just bring that up. And now we get to do a Classics Prime. So I'm going to just bring this down a little bit just to get it out of the way. And this whole section rotates around there. And you still have a dedicated waist swivel down here. That's just the upper torso swivel for the transformation, and that's cool. So there you've got that. I'm going to bring the arms back down. And now the head. The head is actually part of, like, I don't know, there are a lot of things to this transformation I really like. I really like the shins. I really like how the arms so simply tuck in like that classic Prime way, but it's still different. And I really like how they incorporated the Classics Prime kind of upper body swivel, but I also really like what they did with the head, because you can take this panel and fold that down a bit, and also kind of angle this panel just to give you clearance. But you bring this down, and as you bring this down, this panel will hit, this panel here will hit the panel that the head actually sits on. And then you can pull this whole assembly back, and now that this red panel is pushing up against the other panel, it pushes the head up, which is really cool. But in addition to that, when you push it up all the way, it pops out the chest windows, and it gives him that, you know, that classic Bumblebee movie / Rise of the Beasts Prime windows that are like angled out slightly. And what's also really cool about this is not only does it automatically push them out, but it sits in just the right spot so that you can't accidentally push them back in. Like, you cannot. This isn't like Legends, Generation Legends scale Optimus Prime, where you just have to kind of angle the windows and hope they stay with friction. These are in place. They're not designed to open further, and they can't get pushed back in when that panel is there. So it's just really clever. And like, if you angle this back down, if you rotate this around, bring this down, as you can see, when this gets moved, that red panel moves down. And when that red panel moves down, then these can get pushed back in and give them the flat chest / robot or truck mode thing. But like, as soon as that red panel goes up, pushes them out. And that is just so clever. I love that move. And there we have Rise of the Beasts, mainline Optimus Prime in robot mode, and he looks really good. I completely understand the complaints that people have with him, you know, not being as painted as they would like. I get that. I definitely think he could use paint. I agree. There's a lot of gray on him, and it could do with some paint. But what is here, I think, gets the job done, and the figure itself is really cool. I love that transformation. He's a fun little Optimus Prime. And yeah, I really don't have the same complaints. Like, I totally understand where those complaints come from. I just don't have them myself. But yeah, this is Optimus Prime. The proportions are really good. The head is maybe a little tiny, but I think that works. It kind of goes with like the anime hero robot aesthetic, you know, proportionally. And it's very cool. Really, the only thing about the design that kind of bums me out is the sides of the shoulders are open like that, which I get. It gives him a lot more articulation. Like, these panels can rotate, but that's not really gonna, you know, get the job done. So to bring the arm out, you can bring it out that way, and you can bring it out pretty far, but I do kind of wish that this wasn't as open to make it look a little bit cleaner, but, you know, it's fine. And if you wanted to, you could keep that pegged in, but then he's got this going on, which looks weird. And, you know, the arm can still go out pretty decently far, but, like, that's just in the way. It makes it look messier. But, yeah, aesthetically, that's kind of my only real complaint with the design. Like, he's got the wheels on the back, but that's kind of nothing compared to everything else going on here. This panel comes down and covers most of that gap in his back. So, like, that big gaping hole gets mostly hidden. You know, it would be nice if these could do something to tuck away more. If you really wanted to, you could fold them down more, but then it just kind of, I don't know. It's fine. And yeah, nifty figure. Lots of really nice molding, especially like the insides of the calves there. Some nice molding for the shin vents, rest of the legs. A lot of really nice molding in here. And again, I love the angle trick that they pull with the chest. You can also see they molded in the little peck light things right above there, which I think is kind of neat. You can't see them from the front over these things, but that's okay. And you even have the little arrows on his forearms, and they actually painted them. Like, they didn't have to do that, but they totally did. Like, a lot of Optimus Primes that have more paint than this thing don't have those things painted. So, I think that's cool. But yeah, he is very nicely molded, nicely detailed, and I like him quite a bit. Now, the head. It is Optimus Prime. I mean, obviously. And it's Optimus Prime. It's basically Rise of the Beasts / Bumblebee movie Optimus Prime. He's, that movie-verse, night-verse, whatever we're calling it, Optimus Prime, where it's like, pretty typical shape and design with the mouth plate and head crest and ears and all that, but with a little bit more of that live-action style greebling, even in the mouth plate. And even at this size, because this head is, like, it's not legend scale, but it is smaller than you might think a Voyager Prime would have. So yeah, there's a lot of nice detailing, and it's Optimus Prime, so you've got the blue helmet, silver face and faceplate, blue eyes, and that's that. And also, they have a light piping block back there, even though the eyes are painted. So, whatever. And actually, while we're here, you can see there is some detail molded in behind the windows, which I think is, some of it may be to look like the Matrix chamber, I don't know, but like you can't actually, like, you can pop the windows out because they're not pinned in. So like they just pop out like that. You can see this here, but like this doesn't open or anything like that. You can't open these windows to do like the opening Matrix chamber thing. So as I understand it, you do need to pop them out for the application of repro labels, because there are some repro labels that go in that little back section. But anyway, that is it for the head. For articulation, the head only rotates. It's unfortunately not on a ball joint, which does suck, but it does rotate, and it rotates around quite a bit. I don't think it can, like, yeah, it might be able to go 360, but I don't want to push it because then it would be scraping that faceplate against that red section on the back there. So, not going to rotate it all the way around. So it's very snug, but whatever. The arms can go all the way around. As we saw before, these bits can wiggle a bit, and the arms can go out past 90. You do have a bicep swivel. You've got a really, really nice elbow bend as part of the transformation, but like, if it weren't for the this thing getting in the way, that elbow would bend quite a bit. So that's cool. The fists, they bend in, but they're on a ball joint, as you can see, so you get a little bit of wiggle there, but it also affords you wrist swivels. So yeah, that's pretty good articulation in the arms. The waist swivel does exist, but you don't get a whole lot. Pardon me. It's this hinge here just kind of knocks into stuff in there. Like if you bend them forward, you can kind of see how that whole assembly is put together, and that hinge just whacks into stuff. It does kind of stink. I wish they had, maybe not had this stuff come out as far as it does, so you had more room to rotate the waist, but there's probably like structural reasons for it or something. But you still do get waist rotation, it's just not significant, like super good. But if you wanted to, you could use the upper body twist too, so you could use those two in tandem, and if you don't twist the upper body too far, then it doesn't actually look bad. It kind of looks like an almost natural upper body twist, really. So that's cool. The legs, or hips rather, can go forward almost to 90, can go back not as far, but still pretty okay. These bits actually do move, so those can move out of the way for you to bring the leg out to pretty much 90. You get thigh rotation that goes all the way around. You have a knee bend that goes to a little bit past 90. Let's see if we get the gas can flap out of the way here. Does that make a significant difference in bend? Well, it does make a difference. So I guess it's up to you to decide. Do you want the knee bend that's like this, or the knee bend that's like this? Either way, you got options. It's not it's not an insignificant amount of bend you get if you get those cans out of the way, and they're not too egregious when you get them out of the way, so that's something to think about. And then the ankles actually do a lot too. You've got tilt in both directions, and also forward and back. You don't get any rotation, but like that's pretty cool. That's a pretty surprising amount of articulation for a figure that is supposed to be, the simpler, from the simpler mainline stuff. So I like that a lot. I just wish that head was on a ball joint. Now you can kind of fake looking down if you want by just pushing it down. The only problem is if you push it down, then these can get pushed in if you're not careful. But still, you can fudge it a little bit to have them look down if you wanted to do that. And yeah, I don't know, he's cool. I like this guy quite a bit. Can you tell? Now, for the weapon, it is his ion blaster, or ion rifle, whatever this thing is called. And it is very simple. It's very, it's a pretty evocative shape, but the back is a little bit different than just the G1 stuff. It's a single piece of black plastic, and it's fine. It pegs into his hand. It does look a little small. It does seem just a little bit tiny, but at the same time, the figure is a little small too, so it's not that big a deal. It doesn't look like a pistol, but it's also just not the right size proportionally based on, what was in, what we're used to, let's say. But it's fine. The molding on it is good enough. The shape is pretty evocative of the original design, and it's just a little bit on the small side. But it's not, like I said, it's not the worst. And if it really bothers you, you can always borrow a rifle from a different Optimus Prime or something like that. Yeah, this guy is pretty cool. I like the design, and I really like the figure. I like the transformation, the detailing, the articulation's pretty darn solid too. Really, the only thing I don't like about Rise of the Beast Optimus Prime is Rise of the Beast Optimus Prime, the character. He was kind of a jerk in the movie. Kind of insufferable. I don't know, he just kind of annoyed me. There was a lot of really. But anyway, ignoring that, here is Prime with the, let's get Burnout out of the way for a second. Here he is with the kind of typical size comparison. So you can see that he is shorter than a typical Voyager. He's shorter than Artfire, but not by a whole lot. And he is taller than what would be considered a tall deluxe, because Ova Prime stands about as tall as like Spinister or Rotor Storm or something like that. So if we get rid of Artfire and bring in Burnout, a actual typical deluxe, you can see that, that is not a deluxe size figure. I mean, I've said many times they're not really sizes anyway, but still, like, he's a little short, but he's not that short. I think really, like, this is just speculation on my part, and I don't want to put words in people's mouths, but I feel like a lot of people are judging him as being a tiny Voyager because the vehicle mode is so small. Because the robot mode really isn't that small. But anyway, as always, we got to do the most important size comparison. Here is Rise of the Beast Prime with the duck tank. And that does it for Rise of the Beasts, Voyager, Mainline, whatever this thing is called, Core Series, I don't know, Optimus Prime. And this is a really cool figure. It annoys me because I know they're not going to do a Nemesis repaint of this, and I would really prefer a Nemesis version, but whatever. But, like, this is cool. And, yeah, it would be nice if it had a little bit more paint. But there is paint on it. It's not like it's not painted. And weirdly, there's more paint in some places than you might expect. Like I said, they did the little arrows on the forearms, but they also painted, like, the kneecaps, where they did these sections in blue, but then they also did black and red there. And I don't know, I feel like people may be a little too upset about the lack of paint. Like, I understand the disappointment, but, like, it's fine. And of course, there's always the option to paint it yourself if you wanted to. I feel like even just a little bit of like a wash over a lot of this to make them look a little bit dirtier, especially in like the midsection, would work really well. But there's also the Reaper label set, so you got options. Not that you should, I understand that. It's not that, like you shouldn't have to do any work to the figure after you get it. But I'm just saying, if the lack of paint really bothers you, there are things you can do to fix it. And I really think that if you can look past the lack of paint, there is a good figure here. It's something worth getting. If you can find it, because the distribution on these things have been so bad. But anyway, that is going to do it for Prime here. What do you all think of this guy? Whatever your thoughts, feel free to chime in down below. I always enjoy hearing from you all. Thank you, everybody, for watching. And I got 3 figures sitting off to the side. I got to decide what the next one's going to be. We'll find out together.